and thanks for Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I'm going to look at a brand new expansion coming to Kickstarter for Village Attacks, which is Grim Dynasty Reborn. This is a 1 to 5 player expansion that does require the core game to play, and it takes roughly 1 to 2 hours to play. It's a fully cooperative game where all the players are working together as the monsters to defend their castle hearts and stop the villagers from attacking. So this game is going to be brought to you by Scoundrel Game Labs. It is a newer company that purchased these games as they were liquidated from Grimlord Games, which is the original company that made Village Attacks and Grim Dynasty, but unfortunately was not able to fulfill Grim Dynasty after successfully funding, and that company went bankrupt. So this new company came in and purchased the game rights to these games to be able to bring them back to market and give you an opportunity to get them, as well as starting to add new things. And they do have plans in the future as well to potentially add some new exciting stuff to the game as well. So anyways, with this one, this is going to bring in some of the Asian culture. So you're going to get to play some brand new monsters in this one that are going to be introduced and give you all kinds of new challenges, as well as introducing some brand new enemies that you're going to have to deal with, including different types of villagers, including militia, new town heroes that are going to interact, and some other new, really exciting features depending upon what you're looking for with this. So beyond just the core expansion that they're going to be adding, they have a couple of additional small box expansions that are going to introduce some new clans to the game that are going to give you even more challenges, such as the Dragon Clan, which is going to introduce different villager groups that actually work together. So you'll have the Dragon Head that is going to be able to move around and buff all of the other troops that are with him. You'll have the claws or talons that are going to do a lot of the damage, and the dragon's tail. And if that ever reaches the castle heart, then the scenario is automatically lost. So you're going to have to deal with these snaking groups of enemies that you're going to have to overcome. There's also the Mugwai, which are a neutral kind of enemy where they can both help and hinder the hero or the monsters, and also affect the villagers, just like the Troll, if you're familiar with that from the original game and the original expansion that had that. So those guys are all kinds of mischievous, nasty little guys that are going to affect your dice, potentially mess up your traps that you've laid, and also disrupt and mess up the enemy, so in ways could be beneficial to you. They're also going to introduce some new types of town heroes, which are the legendary heroes. Now, these are really powerful, nasty opponents that you're going to have to face that are almost like boss level opponents. They, from the looks of some of the little bits that are in this trial or demo rulebook, the one guy that's in there has 20 hit points. So massive, massive difficulty there that you're going to have to worry about and bring down. He, unlike the town heroes that you might be able to do in a couple of turns, this guy might be there for most of the game, giving you all kinds of headaches that you're going to have to deal with. So in this video, I'm going to take you through showing you the new features for this expansion, including some of the new monsters you get to play as, some of the different town heroes that are going to be involved, as well as the new types of peasants and tacticians and all kinds of different things that are going to be added to this game and the expansion, as well as obviously reprinting Village Attacks. So if you don't have Village Attacks, you'll have an opportunity to get that. So as always, if you find my videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider that like button and subscribe to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we continue to grow and produce this content. If you want to stay up to date on all my videos, also give that notification bell a ring, as I'm constantly dropping new stuff. Now, I do want to point out before moving into the video that all the materials that I'm going to be using in this video are prototype materials and are subject to change, and will look a lot better than the final production copy of the video. For those of you that have been with the channel for a long time as well, you're going to notice that it is a very different look here right now. And yes, I just completed a move a little while ago. And so this is a temporary studio that I'm kind of working with at the moment. So pardon me for some of the lighting and stuff, and not everything is completely dialed in yet, but the videos still have to come out. So I'm working with what I have until I'm able to get my new studio up and running. So thanks for your patience, and I hope you still enjoy these videos. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see anything else around this. I will have a playthrough video, which I'll have a link up in the top corner as well, if you want to see what a full scenario looks like with some of these new components in it, and being able to use some of these new guys and seeing how all the different new enemies are going to add new features to this game. So let's go ahead and head to the table, and I'll show you what this one's all about. The first thing I want to go over are the new monsters that are included in this expansion. The first one I want to look at is the Decimator, and that is the Holy Jing, and she is a mystic. And so with her, she is a fox spirit, and her abilities are going to be really interesting. First, she has Plaything, which allows her to attack with and then move a peasant or hunter in any direction, ignoring target priority order. And she'll have to activate that by spending that symbol. Next, I have the Mortal's Bane, and this is going to really be handy as she doesn't have a lot of hit points, but with this one, when you activate it, she is going to retaliate against attacks from peasants made against her, and these attacks are not going to damage her, and then later in her upgraded version, it's going to do even more stuff. And the final one she has is Fatal Encounter. So this one lets you slay a peasant in every zone you enter. Also, damage suffered is not considered when determining hindering, so that'll be helping with her movement. And this is going to be a passive ability, so anytime she moves into a zone, she's going to be doing damage to peasants or potentially later on other villagers. And this is going to also include other monsters that are able to move her as part of their actions. So she can really do some serious damage as she moves around. Next is King Yen, and he is going to be your guardian, and he actually acts a little bit more like a decimator. Once you get him tooled up, he can dish out some serious pain and punishment. So with his abilities, he has Judgment, which says that each time you slay a villager, you may also stun another of the same kind in that zone. After that, you have Hellfire, and this is a really cool one. So this one introduces the Hellfire tokens, and every time, or when you, during your turn, if you're able to place that symbol on here, you get to place a Hellfire token on your area. And then at any point during your turn, you can discard all of those tokens and deal that much damage to your zone. And the other thing with Decimator or Guardians, they're usually fairly slow, and he is very slow, but once you unlock the Lord of the Damned, his movement is going to be bumped up. So he is going to move unhindered to a zone containing either a fellow monster or an arcane villager. And that zone is going to suffer 1 damage. So he kind of goes in there and smashes some stuff as he appears in that zone. So that is going to be extremely handy to get him moved around and really assist the other monsters in their tasks. From there, then, there are also 2 support monsters that you're going to have. The first is the Jiangshi, and he is going to be your healer slash really key support character. So his first ability is Puppeteer, and this one allows him to move a monster or a villager 1 zone in any direction, and it's going to be unhindered, and it's going to ignore target priority. So again, with using him in conjunction with the Fox Spirit, with her abilities activated, can really be powerful. Or he can use this to get around moving some of the tacticians or other things into more favorable areas. Next is the Rigor Mortis, and this is going to slow down your enemy peasants and other other enemies as you build this one up. So with Rigor Mortis, you and peasants in adjacent zones cannot move or be moved. So this can really help you handle a couple of rounds and stop them from getting into the castle heart. The final one is the Soul Vampire, and this one says that each time you slay a peasant, a monster in that zone is going to heal 1. So he's a great healer on top of everything else. The other support is the Diwa Sai Gua, and she is a great support character as well. So first off, she has a Shroud of Mourning. So this one's in your zone. Your zone is going to suffer darkness, and you are unaffected by this effect. So she is going to shroud her zones in darkness if she activates that. And that's going to be a big help for her to keep other heart hunters and other things at bay. Next is the Vicious Tongue. This one allows her to stun up to 3 villagers and up to 2 spaces away, which is going to really be handy. And the final one is Deathless Remorse. This one deals 1 damage to your zone, and you can heal a monster for 1. And these are only going to get better as you upgrade them. Now, it wouldn't be much of an expansion without some new enemies that are going to challenge our monsters and bring new threats. So with this, there are 2 new main types of enemies. You're going to have militia that'll work pretty much the same way as peasants until you involve tacticians. As tacticians, as they come out at the beginning of each one of the villager phases, based on the number of tacticians, you're going to roll a 1 tactician die per tactician that's out there. These dice are going to have 2 sides with a sword, 2 sides with a shield, and 2 sides with blanks. Once you've rolled them, you're going to spend those symbols to activate the most powerful ability you can based on the symbols that you rolled. So if I rolled these 2 symbols, for example, then I would have to activate this ability here, Rolling Thunder, and that effect will go into play for the remainder of the round. And these effects are going to augment the militia, making them very, very powerful depending upon the different abilities. So the more tacticians that are out there, the better and better those abilities are going to be. So you're going to have to work on controlling the amount of militia or tacticians that are out there. Another key point with tacticians is they do not move normally. So at the end, during the villager phase, these guys are not going to move. The only time that they move is when a new tactician card is drawn. All the other tacticians on the board will move 1 space. In that way, they are staying in the background and are going to force your monsters to come out and deal with them. Because if you don't, you're going to pay the price for it, because those militia are going to really be nasty as you power them up. The final new type of enemy are the town heroes. There are going to be 4 new town heroes included in the game that are going to add new challenges for your monsters. The first one is the Tempest, and she has Ambush, which states that when the Tempest is seasoned, when she damages a monster, they are going to suffer slow, and then she is going to move to a random village spawn point. She only has 5 health, but can move up to 2 spaces each turn and dish out 3 damage to her space or 1 space away. Next is the Disciple, and he is brutal. He has the Aura of Defense, so monsters may not spend attacks, or melee attacks, or ranged attacks in his zone while he is in there. And he has 6 health. He can only move 1 space per time he's activated, but he deals out 2 damage and he has no range. So he is going to be a nasty contender in that zone. So you're going to want to take him out from range. Next is the Wrath Dancer. With the Wrath Dancer, he has the Dance of Death. When the Wrath Dancer's attack moves, then attacks again. So he is going to move, attack, move, and then attack. So he's going to really be able to push out some damage. He has a health of 7 with a movement of 1 and deals out 2 damage to the things in his space. The final new one is the Thunder Tide. And with this one, he has Firecrackers. Monsters suffer 1 damage and burn when entering the Thundercrackers zone, and he has 5 health, moves 1, does 3 damage to 0 to 2 spaces away. So you're going to have to really deal with him quick, otherwise he's going to be able to get in range of that Castle Heart and really start doing damage. For the monsters, there's 1 new set of cards that are going to be added to the trap cards, and these are artifact cards. These are very powerful cards that work similarly to traps, as you're going to be placing them into a room, but these are going to be permanent for the rest of the game, taking up that space in the room. Each one of them is going to require 2 different dice symbols. One, it will be a specific symbol, and the other is going to be a wild, which means you can use any symbol you have to activate that. And again, these are going to be permanent effects, such as adding portals to areas where that'll allow your monsters to move around a little bit better, or the soul well that's going to get you experience by going there if it is accumulated in that area, among others. All right, so with this one, I just set up a basic map to give you a better idea of how this works, and I'm going to take you through the sequence to show you how each round goes in the game. So each round is going to start with the monster phase, and during the monster phase, you're going to start with the monster that has the first player token and proceed clockwise around the table. Each monster is going to get to take a turn, which is going to consist of that monster rolling the set of 6 dice, or less, depending upon if they have any reserve symbols in there from previous turns. From there, then they're going to allocate those symbols to doing different things, whether it's attacking, activating some of their special abilities, or moving around the board. And monsters can also store and keep some of those symbols for later turns if they need them. So the Daioisigwe is the first enemy to go, or a monster to go. So I'm going to go ahead and roll, and I do have 1 range symbol in reserve. So I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side, and I'll roll the rest of these. Wow, okay. So with that, anytime you roll 3 or more of the same symbol, you can choose to re-roll those if you want to. Now that can be really handy depending upon what comes up, as there are symbols in here that are going to be the villager symbols, and that'll activate a villager per symbol on those. So you have to be mindful of all of that. So I think that was on that. All right, so from there, then once you are satisfied with the dice, or you choose not to roll any additional dice because of re-rolls or whatnot, then you can go ahead and spend those different symbols to do different things. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by spending this one to move, and so I'm going to move up into this space here, and then I am going to go ahead and I think I'm going to spend this symbol to place a trap. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up this fire trap here and place it on my space so that that will be ready to go. So that one's spent. I am going to use my other ranged symbol to take out one of these villagers in this space here. So anytime you attack enemies, it's always going to go in a priority order. So villagers or peasants are the first ones to go down. So I'll remove a peasant and gain a experience point for that. And then I'm going to spend one of my claws for another movement. So I'm going to go ahead and move into here. And this is gone at this point since I've used those symbols. And then my last two, I'm going to go ahead and attack both of these guys. And again, it's priority order, so they are both hunters, so they're going to go down. And they'll be returned to the supply. And then I'm going to get 2 more experience points for that. So I'm up to 3 now. And I also have to lower my village morale per point of damage that or a villager that I've eliminated. So I've eliminated 4 so far, so I'm down to 16 on that. All right, and that is my turn, as I don't have anything left that I can do at this point. So that'll pass over to the next player. So King is going to go next. So I am going to choose to hold on to both of those symbols, and I'll just roll these 4. Okay, so I got 2 more defense, so I think I will re-roll the defense, as I don't really think I need 3 defense at the moment. All right, so I'll hold on to those. So I do have a villager activation that I'm going to have to handle. So it's going to activate the villager that is furthest away from the castle heart right now. So that is going to be this tactician here, so he's going to go ahead and move up into that space. So that'll take care of that. And then I do have 2 ranges. I have 2 melee and 1 of those. So I don't have anything right now to activate any of my abilities. And I only have 1 point of movement. So I'm going to go ahead and use this to move up into this space. And then I'm going to go ahead and attack. Actually, with the fire trap there, I think I'm just going to hold on to these 2 at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and hold on to the 2 ranges. And I think I'll just stay here and not do anything else. And that will hold on to those. And I can hold on to this in defense because that is a retaliate. And I'll simply just lose the 2 claws for the moment. And that is going to end his turn. So then it is going to go into the villager phase. So during this phase, the first thing you're going to do is handle a village event or move the event marker up. So and it's going to move up 1 space per character or monster that is out there right now. So I'm playing with 2 players, so it's going to move up by 2. And the scenario you're playing is going to dictate when you're going to be revealing events. So let's go ahead and say, for example, this was an event round or had passed that. So I'd reveal the top event, and this is Faulty Mechanisms 2. Remove any traps placed in corridors. So any of these corridors, if they had any traps, would be all removed at this point. But luckily, mine is in a small room, so I am okay with that. So from there, then, if there are any tacticians out, you're going to roll 1 die per tactician that's out and allocate those to the highest symbol or set of symbols that you can. So right now I didn't roll anything, so I got lucky there, but there are all kinds of nasty abilities, as you saw earlier, that these guys can trigger. So I was fortunate with that. And then once that is done, then you're going to move into villager activations. So you're going to start with the villagers that are as closest to the castle heart and work your way out. So these guys are all going to move in. Now again, with the tacticians, they are not going to move. He's just going to hold out there as he is doing his tactics and he doesn't want to get in there and get close. And now that all the villagers have activated, so first off, before moving them, all villagers are going to attack the space that they're in, or hunters will attack up to one space away. And then they're all going to move, and they're always going to move towards the heart, the castle heart, by the shortest path possible. So these villagers are going to go here. And then after that, then we're going to trigger the traps, any traps that are triggered. So this one is going to trigger, and this one says that it's going to deal 3 damage, and any town heroes suffer burn. So 3 damage will actually eliminate all 3 of these villagers, so that works out in my favor. And that is going to decrease the morale, but that will not get any of the monsters any experience points, as the monsters didn't actually eliminate those enemies. From there, now is going to be the spawning step, where you're going to spawn new enemies in each one of the spawn zones. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one up here. So that one is going to drop me 3 additional new hunters, and you're going to go by tiers. So I'm just playing with tier 1 right now. So I'm going to go ahead and randomize what kind of hunters these are going to be. All right, it'll be arcane hunters. So I have 3 arcane hunters that are going to come out. So I'll grab them, and I'm going to put some bases on those guys. All right, and then the next spawn point is going to be 3 villagers. And when you're playing with militia, you're always going to have more militia than villagers if able. So I'll have 2 militia and 1 villager. And then the final spot is another tactician. Oh boy. All right. And then that is going to end the villager phase, and then the final phase is the cleanup phase. During the cleanup phase, you're going to remove any tokens or anything that you have to remove from the board, and you're also going to pass the first player token to the next player in clockwise order to start the next round. You're also going to deploy a new trap that will be available if there are any, and you'll also move all the other ones down. All right, so at that point, then we would start another round, and this time it would start with King to take his turn first. So I hope you found the video helpful in learning a little bit more about this one and deciding whether or not this is one you want to back on Kickstarter. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please post those in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them, or swing by the Kickstarter page and drop any questions you have there in the comment section. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have as well. Until next time, I'll see you later.